So during the past few years, because of the increasing amount of connectivity we have, I haven't really been offline at all. So it's hard for me to talk about extended periods of being disconnected and offline-ness. So I thought I'd try a little bit of experiment and just go offline right about now. Ooh, right. Sorry. Guess I can't talk from experience, really. I mean, I could talk about when I was in, like, the 2nd grade, or when I was in, like, the 5th grade, when I didn't have a cell phone and constant data connection. But pretty much since then, since the first iPhone came out, I've had pretty much a constant data connection. And that was, like, I don't know, 2007, so that was 7 years ago. So it's a very vague memory to me, not always being in constant connection with everyone at all times. But I can kind of see the appeal of, like, I'm going to choose to go to a hotel, like a hotel in Canada, per se, that, you know, very explicitly doesn't have Wi-Fi and doesn't have cell phone reception, and you're just exclusively cut off, because we're all, like, constantly bombarded with things, and news updates, and tweets, and tumbles, and all these videos, and all this really great, amazing stuff. And sometimes it can be a bit of an overwork for the brain, and you just need to be able to get away from everything. I don't really have much to say on this topic, if you can't tell. I see the appeal of wanting to get disconnected when you want to be disconnected, but I do, like, it used to be 99% of what I did on the internet before the last couple of years when I really started getting into YouTube stuff, was reading. I would just read tons and tons of stuff all over the web. And I read books quite a bit. Nowadays it's on Kindle and stuff like that, but I read books and websites, and reading is, like, constantly what happens. Even when I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm probably reading other articles and reading, like, code things, or reading stuff about new technologies, and just interesting things that interest me, and it's just all reading all the time. So if I were to go to one of these retreats, it would very specifically have to be a place where you don't read books either, because if I'm just reading a book, I might as well be reading an online book. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense if I went away on a retreat and all I did was read a book, because I don't view reading websites to be much different than reading a book. Now, I can see the appeal of trying to, like, distance yourself from, like, news and the constant media and update bombardment that we always have, like, the people who have, like, the phantom thing where they think they hear their phone's email going off and they're actually not. That's kind of worrying to me, and I catch myself doing it from time to time, like, oh, I have a new email. Wait, no, I don't. And I'm worried. That kind of worries me. But I don't know. So I would go to one of those retreats, but only if I went with, like, other people, or if it was specifically a place so that you could meet new people and, like, do real things together, like, things in the real world. Because if I just, like, sit in the corner and read a book, like I would probably do at one of those things, it really doesn't, it doesn't do anything. So I don't think it's really an offline type thing. I don't see disconnecting to be a good, or a useful thing, per se. I mean, not useful, but an end-all to what you're trying to achieve. I could see going to a place specifically to interact with other humans and doing social activities. And it doesn't really matter if you're connected or disconnected, but, you know, like, don't use your phone while you're with all these other people would probably just be enough. And then you go back and, like, maybe just have, like, free Wi-Fi, but no cell, and then have the Wi-Fi, like, block news sites and Twitter and stuff like that. I think that would work. Yeah, sorry, someone fired a cannon somewhere and it made a really loud noise. I was very confused. That happens in my town, don't worry about it. Anywho, so yeah, have a hotel that you go place and you interact with actual human beings, but then you can have Wi-Fi. Just make sure it's, like, distance from cell places, and then you block, like, all the news sites and all the email services, and, like, then you can read and do researchy type things, which is no different from reading a book, in my opinion. And then you don't have to worry about getting bombarded with news and, like, the constant Twitter and email and everything updates. I think that would make a lot of sense to me. And would actually be quite productive for me, personally. Like, if I could go big problem, like, I can't, like, disconnect myself. If I need to work on a project, I know a lot of, like, you can disconnect yourself from the internet. Yeah, I can't. When I'm, like, writing code, and stuff like that, I need to be constantly referencing, like, research libraries, like library documentation, and I need to be referencing sometimes other people's code, and I need to be pulling in other people's code. So there's no way for, like, coders and software engineers and stuff like that to disconnect, unless Kevin has figured out a magical way to do that. But you can't work disconnected when you're a software engineer. It doesn't really work. But if you could, like, limit news and Twitter and stuff like that, actually, that would be a really good application. Okay, maybe I'll write that, and I better do that before I release this, otherwise Kevin or someone else may steal it, and anyway, that'll probably never happen, but that's an interesting idea. Maybe I'll go work on it. Anywho, this has gone on far too long for a topic that I know nothing about, so we need an application or a hotel like that, because that sounds cool, and I'm interested to see what everyone else has to say about it. Bye!